Last year I got behind the wheel of a Lexus RZ, and let's just say I didn't quite sing its praises. And in the EV game, Lexus still shows that they're rookies. I'm sorry, but I nagged them about the range, charging speed, and the driver information cluster didn't look like a luxury vehicle. It looked like a video game from the early 2000s kind of graphics. But a lot of you guys in the outsider community said, just wait for the 2026 when it comes out. They are fixing everything. Everything's gonna be better. So I have it, 2026, Lexus RZ. Is it a redemption story or is it basically same old, same old? Let's go find out. Which is probably the most stupid thing I've ever heard. That is a big, big improvement. Hey, wait, let's just stop with the shenanigans, shall we? And welcome to Outsider Reviews. My name is Pat, and I got Luke, the man behind the camera, the boss, the big cheese. And this is the 2026 Lexus RZ, or RZ, for my American folks, 350e, but I will talk about all the other trims as well. So I said I wasn't nice about it, right? And the things is, this is a refresh, so they changed some components, and the one I wanted to see change the most was actually the charging, because it was so ridiculously slow. The charging curve, for those who don't know, don't speak EVs, charging curve means it's charged fast and then it curves down slow. Usually that's like after 50% for most vehicle. This one, not this one, the 2025 one would drop after 30% battery down from 150 to like 50 kilowatt charging speed. So it was ridiculously slow. I didn't have many praises to sing about it. And the looks wise, that's where everything kind of changed, because I absolutely love the looks of the RZ/RZ. I think it's just a very spaceship looking vehicle and probably the best in its class. We're talking the luxury EV class, competing with the likes of Optic, e-tron from Audi, and of course Genesis GV70 electrified. The only thing I can see to change is the one I had last year had the black hood. It was silver. Again, I don't know why they're giving us silver. It doesn't really pop on the thumbnail, but whatever. And it had a black portion going down from the grill all the way over the hood portion of it. I thought it looked really cool. This year, they've shifted the blackness over to the sides and kept the body color over in the front. You guys comment below which one you like best. I was more liking the 2025 looks of it, but you know, potato. It's kind of very fine tuning at that point. I think it still looks really amazing. We got the LED lights, everything like that. It kind of looks like very, I don't know, a Star Wars kind of theme is what I get the vibe of. But what's really important is the specs. So let's dive into those. We have the 350e 2026, of course. So it's a front wheel drive single motor, putting out 221 horsepower, 196 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 time, you're not gonna impress anybody with that one. It's about 7 seconds. But the range of this baby, much improved. We're in the 486 kilometer range. So above 300 miles of range, 302 miles of range, if memory serves me right. And I've talked about other variants. So we have the 450e, so all-wheel drive, dual motor, of course, 308 horsepower, 321 pounds-feet of torque, 0 to 60, 5 seconds. So we just improved by 2 seconds, really good. Range drops to 420 kilometers. As far as the 550e F Sport, 408 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. Range drops down to 366 kilometers or 229 miles. Up next, let's talk about the wheel size. Now we have the 18-inch wheels. So this is the base trim 350e, and I like that idea. I'll mention it later why. It's 235/60 R18. You can upgrade to the 20-inch wheels. However, you'll lose about 50 kilometers of range just by doing so. 18 is perfect, especially in the wintertime. Gives you more rubber for comfort and more range. What's not to like about the 18s? Time to talk about charging. Yes, sir. We've got the North American Charging Standard, NACS. And although that doesn't quite benefit me too much here in Quebec because electric circuit is king here and they use CCS, so there's more chargers like that than there are of NACS, Toyota will actually provide you with a adapter. So that's actually really key. I really appreciate they do that. They just throw you an adapter. And when I said charging speed is better this year, or maybe I didn't say it, it was worse last year because it was 10 to 80% in like an hour last year. And as you look at the specs, you wouldn't have been able to tell that because there's 150 kilowatt DC fast charging speed. And this year is, guess what, 150 kilowatt DC charging speed, but they messed around with that charging curve. So instead of taking an hour to charge from 10 to 80%, they reduced that by half, making it a 30-minute charge time as long as everything goes well from 10 to 80%. That is a big, big improvement. Moving off to the side, we have power folding mirrors and regular shaped handles. It's just a piece of rubber in the back here. And it's got approach lock and unlock. So you just stick your hand here, feel the piece of rubber and open. Nice solid thunk, followed by with some beeping. I don't know why. And next, let's go check out some cargo space. Going to the back end, I do have a sloped back end and no wiper in the back, just because it's more of a coupe kind of look. I'm okay with that because most of the dirt's going to be absorbed here. And you have your camera here with a camera washer. So basically when your camera gets dirty, as it does here in the winter all the time, slush gets in the back there, you just activate your rear washer and it's not going to wash the windshield, it's going to wash the camera. Very handy. Lexus stamped out. I love the light design here. You can't really see much in the daylight like this, but it's a nice looking back end overall with the slope style. Powered tailgate. And it opens at a pretty good height. Not something I noticed, but Luke, my man, the giant behind the camera, he says that this is a really good height. You don't have to bend over to go in. That's not a problem for me anyways. Opening up, we have 34.9 cubic feet of space. Pretty good amount of floor space. So that's, I think, what most people look for is a lot of space this way, not so much height-wise, because of the coupe look. It's going to be sacrificing some of the height, but most of the time you put stuff on the floor. Now you do open up as well. Got more storage here. I have the netting here and the charging cables for a level 1 charger. So basically when you go to visitors and they don't have level 2 chargers, you can just plug that in and charge it away. Otherwise, besides this little carpet, I do have a 120 volt over here, 3-prong outlet, which is pretty good. And when you fold the seats down, you're looking at 54 cubic feet of space. Not too shabby. All right, let's go inside. Before we do, let's talk about the door. This is all soft gray fabric. It's got this cool kind of shadow pattern here. I don't know if I can pick that up on the camera on this sunny day. And then I got a push door mechanism here for opening, as well as lock and unlock toggles in the cargo space for a bottle. Moving on to the seats, I got perforated leather seats that can recline about as far as this goes. So it does have a reclining setting. Stepping inside, it's a good height. I am 5'9", 37.5 inches of leg room, pretty good. Got my own ventilation, no tri-zone control. I got USB-C and a tri-prong outlet. And I laughed because last year what I said is it had a 2-prong outlet, and I said, who the hell uses a 2-prong outlet nowadays? Basically all devices like uses 3 prongs now. A lot of them do, and they could have easily done that. So 120 volt, they upgraded the outlet. Thank you for listening. They're probably not listening to me anyway, so yeah. And then cup holders here. Overall, pretty good comfort level, especially with the ability to recline. I am 5'9", as I mentioned, plenty of headroom. I do not have a panoramic sunroof to play with, so that might differ if I did. And I like because it slopes aggressively, but right after the headroom. So you can tell I got plenty of headroom. Fairly comfortable back here. Here we are in the cockpit, and they've made some really good changes and some they did not. So let's start with the good changes, because when I reviewed the 2025, the steering wheel, they had these secret buttons where you would have to look through the heads-up display to know what they stand for. But as we see now, it's clearly laid out, regular buttons. Thank God. Lexus, you're listening. Probably not to me, but I did mention that was stupid. But one thing is the driver information cluster, it still looks very granular, very not representative of a luxury brand display. I would expect it more crisp. I would expect it to take up the whole room of the information cluster, as it does not. So that one, they didn't change. Paddle shifters here, not really paddle shifters. It's more like regen shifters for this case. Now the 550E, you can put it in M mode and have the sensation of shifting gears, which is probably the most stupid thing I've ever heard. It's an EV, man. You don't need to fake shifting gears. That just slows your acceleration down. At this point, it's a seamless, powerful acceleration with an electric vehicle. Let's just stop with the shenanigans, shall we? But otherwise, yeah, we got, turn stocks, we got windshield wiper stocks, we got rain sensing wipers and automatic high beams and such. So everything else is very traditional, and that's a theme here for potential buyers transitioning from internal combustion. Is there's no learning curve, right? You get in, you press start stop, there's a button there. Everything else is like basically a traditional internal combustion engine, except it just happens to be an EV. And I think some people will appreciate that, because some vehicles out there, Tesla, have a pretty steep learning curve when all you're given is a very cheap looking tablet. And that's not the case here. We have a nice 14-inch display, standard of course, and this is nice and crisp and clear. I would appreciate it. I like the traditional, like other vehicles will go with big logos and all that stuff. The one thing I wish you would have here, and I don't see it, perhaps somebody in the comment can point out if you're an owner, but there's no home button. Here would have been a perfect location for a home button where it just takes you to the home screen. Because I say this, because if I go, obviously Android Auto, it does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great. Let's say, picture me driving around here. We're driving around. I come to a light and I'm like, you know what? I'd like to race the guy besides me just for shits and giggles. I have to press this button because I'm in navigation mode. I'm navigating somewhere. Then this button. It's not buttons, but you know what I mean. I gotta touch that. And then I gotta press the Lexus icon. Then I'm in drive modes, then I can change my drive mode. There is no physical control for drive mode. That annoys me. That is, as far as the infotainment system, it could be laid out a little bit better, but whatever. But that portion annoys me. And I'll show you why. I'll take the camera from Luke over here and see here how there's a mode button right here. But it's for changing basically your music from satellite radio to Bluetooth. Change this to drive modes. I would much appreciate that. Because for my music, well, I just basically listen to my Android Auto music anyways. So that's just my con right there. Otherwise, the HVAC control very well laid out. I do have a volume knob here. I do have my temperature controls here. Very easy, very cool looking with the numbers inside the knob there. Very sleek. I like it. 3 USB-C chargers here. I got a wireless charger there. And then I love this material. It's like a faux wood kind of fabric. I'm not a big fan of piano black here. This is your shifter, by the way. So you push down with a pedal, as long as you're stepping on the brake. Right for drive, left for reverse. And this is a look at the camera. So in this particular model, I do not have 360-degree camera. I just have the rear camera, and I have parking sensors in the front. The beeping you're hearing is annoying. but that's something that Telus does. Let's put it back in the park. I press the button here. I have auto hold because I do not have full one pedal drive. I can regen, and I have to do that every time I shift it back in a drive and put the regen all the way to the maximum, to the level 4, I believe it is. And that way it's gonna get some regen back, but it's not gonna come to a complete stop. Now, folks in Quebec here will say, yeah, that's good enough for a Quebec stop. No, you're supposed to come to a complete stop, people. So you do have to press the brakes every now and then while you're doing one pedal drive. Otherwise, I do not have a screen in the mirror that, you flick a switch and it turns into the rear view camera. With the slope back window, I still have fairly good visibility. Lastly is no glove box. That's because of the knee radiant heaters that are placed there that Toyota and Lexus are very well known for. That's where the heat is generated. Radiant heater kind of helps you preserve battery. And as far as the seats is, it does have some pretty tight bolstering here on the side, but even a wide person like myself, I still feel quite comfortable. They are very plush, perforated leather seats, so it's ventilated and heated, as well as a heated steering wheel. I can adjust it, power adjustments for height, and it's like 8-way adjustability, and driver has lumbar support as well. So I think that kind of takes care of most of the interior here. So I guess the only thing that's left is go for a spin. Okay, before we go for a drive, I just forgot to mention this, but well, here's the key fob as we look at it. And if you press the lock button twice and then a third time and hold it, that's your remote start. So you do have a remote start from the key fob. It does work as well when you have it plugged in. Otherwise, if you have your vehicle plugged in, it's charging, and you go in the vehicle and you press the start button with all your foot's on the brake, the HVAC doesn't really turn on. The heating doesn't turn on. It's one of those safety features. There might be a way around it that I don't know about, but that's what I got. So the only way to remote start is just basically click it twice, and then hold on the lock button, and then that's your remote start, unless you want to use the app. But on this press vehicle, I don't have access to the app. There we go. So we got some ice on the road. Now, this is a particular road that I drive these vehicles when I have them for a week, and it's because it is a really rough mountainous road winding. So it's going to test everything about the vehicle, and having it driven for a week, I can tell you it does very well, even if it's just front wheel drive only. Now, I have some ice, but because I have winter tires, this hasn't been too much of an issue. Acceleration, yeah, you can accelerate faster if it is all wheel drive for sure, but essentially making it there has not been an issue. Here I have a very big dip here in the road. Let's see how it does. It is so smooth. Yeah, this is actually a very big dip, and a lot of times vehicle will actually bottom out. That's actually one of my concerns as I was going over it. But that's the first takeaway of the Lexus RZ, is how smooth it is. Because here I have chunks of ice, I got imperfections in the road, I got everything going against it, and it rides really well. It does so really well. And you know what, aside from underneath I do hear like the water splash or the ice and all that stuff, it is a very quiet ride. As well as visibility. The mirrors, I like the size of them. I like the visibility through the window here, even though it's a coupe. The window is still pretty decent size, so I got very nice visibility. I do not have 360 camera, and I do have parking sensors though all around. So yeah, one other thing that's annoying is everything beeps in this vehicle when you throw it in reverse. So the thing that impresses me the most about the Lexus RZ is how light it feels. Because here going down the hill, as you have some water, some ice and all that stuff, one of my concerns is always I feel how heavy the EV is. And I'm like, if I start sliding, I'm gonna slide for days. Here, you really don't feel it. So you really gotta be more conscious that, you know what, this is still a heavy vehicle. Not the heaviest, but still a heavy vehicle. And speaking of not being the heaviest, it's also one of the most efficient in these temperatures. So I looked up the average temperature over the week that I've had the vehicle. So it's been -7 degrees. -13 and -7 is the temperatures. Right now it's really warm. It's 0 as it says right here. That is really warm temperatures. And my economy is 23.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Why is that important for you guys? Well, essentially, in these -7, -13, I know that at the bare minimum, this vehicle can achieve at the very least 308 kilometers or 191 miles. You're gonna say, well, that's quite the loss. Yes, it is, but it's still acceptable within, well, that's my opinion of it, I believe. It's still pretty acceptable because I have not been driving it conservatively, and obviously when you're driving in ice, there's some spinning action and everything. So, and a lot of that was highway as well, and roughly on highway I drive about 70 miles per hour. So that's, yeah, 70 miles per hour, -7, -13, so -10 degrees Celsius. It's not bad. It's not a bad range. And as you see now, I am at 100% state of charge, and it's predicting 317 kilometers. So there's no BS going on here on the information cluster, which is something I hate about other EVs, such as the Teslas, even the General Motors. I own 2 General Motors EV, and I never look at the prediction because it's so far off. Maybe if you live in a temperate place where it doesn't drop below 0, it's accurate, but in these kind of weather, they're all usually not so accurate. But this Lexus RZ information cluster is very accurate at giving me the reading. It's, yeah, so 316, and I think they're lowballing it because at 0 degrees I believe I can go a lot further than that. So it's not giving me a BS number. It's actually giving me, you know what, this is a number you should attain. Now, regen, like I've mentioned, is paddle shifters here. So you see the arrows here on my information cluster. That means that I am in max regen. So as far as driving here in the mountainous roads, on these rough roads, I'm hitting all these really like big imperfections. These roads are just terrible. It's just god awful. So that's a lot of the tires at work and the suspension tuning, and the fact that they made the vehicle overall a little bit more rigid, and it just gives you a nice planted feel and a comfortable feel at that. So next, let's go on the highway, and I'm going to show you the lane centering feature on this. Sorry. All right, now that we're approaching getting on the highway, let's go into, yeah, Jesus, not range, sport mode is activated. So I'll show you how it is to merge on the highway with the power output. I do have winter tires on, so a little bit softer of a content. There we go. Yeah, Honda Civic going across 3 lanes. That's okay. We'll slow down and show what the acceleration is going to be for merging, because yeah, you might be concerned about 224 horsepower and 198 pound-feet of torque. Don't be, because punching it chewy. And just like that, I'm on highway speed now, and then I have to slow down. So yeah, it's easy does it for the highway in sport mode. Let me just wait here and go. A lot of fun to drive, but as I'm getting ready to do a long road trip, ooh, this came to a halt real quick there, and this is what I like about how tuned this vehicle is. I was able to decelerate and still remain in control. I don't see a big weight shift here. Usually you see a big weight shift, and this is where your contact patch is not, let's go back to eco mode here, not as even, and that's where you can lose some grip. By contact patch, I mean like the actual rubber on contact, because when you brake abruptly, you see the weight shifts in the front, so a lot of your grip is in the front tire as opposed to we being well balanced on all 4 tires. Now let's take a look at the lane centering and advanced cruise control. I just press this button here, and then right now it's set to 95. I'm gonna elevate that a little bit more because we are in the left lane, but people drive slow around here. Then I have this button here. You can see it, maybe you can't see it, but there you go. I'm activating it, the lane centering, by pressing this button here right below the cruise control. So now it's an advanced cruise control. You got your gap. Let's go to level 1 gap, and essentially I could let the vehicle drive like this if it was level 2. It is not, but it feels like it could, because you can see this curve here. It's taking this curve by itself. It's not a steep curve, of course. Then it's going to tell you to grab the steering wheel because this is not level 2 or hands-free. But my point is, it feels like it could easily be level 2 because of how well the lane centering assist is at play here. It does beep quite often if you keep your hands off the steering wheel, but it just makes long road trips very easy to do with this kind of advanced cruise control that's very smooth, right? It doesn't bounce you between the line, keeps you nice and centered. It can take these kind of turns here, no problem if you're not paying too much attention to the road, which you should be, but hey, what are you gonna do about that? That I'm just talking about the vehicle's capability at this point. Otherwise, as I'm entering some traffic and people are driving on the shoulders for some weird reason, this is a very weird drive for this review. Let me just tell you that on the highway, still very serene, very quiet, and just a very smooth ride altogether. So the power output is not neck snapping like you would see in other EVs, but it is they're good enough for you to accelerate really fast, as you saw me doing. I was up at highway speeds in seconds. Definitely no issues there. So if you're concerned about the power output for the 350e, don't. It's plenty. Of course, if you want something faster, 450e or even the 550e are there. Now that's gonna sum it up for this driving wise. Let's go park it. Time to conclude. Did they do enough with the 2026 Lexus RZ/RZ for my American folks? This is the verdict time. This is the conclusion time where I give you my final thoughts. Is they change where it matters. They kept some stuff that I'm not particularly fond of, and they kept some stuff that I am fond of. For example, the looks of it. Looks amazing. Bang, A+. No problem there. Where did they change? Where they needed to. They absolutely needed to address the charging curve. Hey, they cut it by half. That is a very good improvement over one model year. Range. We're finally in the upwards close to 500 kilometer range here in Canada, but in the US, you're above 300 miles of range. Very, very good. I mean, very, very good, but it's very acceptable. Where it didn't change is the price didn't go up. So I haven't talked about the price just yet. And it's kind of funny because I was talking with Luke, and Luke was looking it over because Luke doesn't get to see the spec sheets like I do at the beginning and all stuff. He just shows up, he looks at the vehicle, touches some stuff, feels some stuff, and then he's like, well, it's a pretty good car. I mean, what is it, like $70,000? Well, Luke, my friend, for us here in Canada, it actually starts at $62,000, and in the US, it starts right below $50,000, making it the most affordable in this segment. So, yeah, you're low 60,000 Canadian, of course, and you're getting over 300 miles. Why am I going from Canadian prices to miles? Anyways, you're getting close to 500 kilometers of range, so 480 plus kilometers of range. Big improvement. Charging speed cut in half, big improvement. Driver information cluster, not improved. Not impressed for this guy here. I'm the outsider. I'm very needy. I don't let shit slide. So sorry, Lexus, but you could have done better with the driver information cluster. And I don't like how I have to go through the screen and make like 5 touches just to change my drive mode. You have that button here for the media mode on the steering wheel. Just swap that out. all right? That's basically all I gotta say about that. Overall, the biggest pro is the same pro I had for 2025, is this is the best driving EV I have tested. Period, point, period. That is it. 3 dots, I guess, whatever. But it just feels so light. It doesn't feel like I'm driving a massive big EV. And the battery size, well, it's 77 kilowatt. You know, it's not that heavy compared to what's out there, but they made it work. They made it efficient. This is the single motor. I'm hoping to try the F Sport. So they're very, like Ted would say, F Sport. What do you have against Sport, Lexus? Come on. Why would you F Sport? Anyways, that's just an inside joke. I like to joke around sometimes, but I'm looking forward to try it. And obviously in dry temperatures in the summer where I could really grip it and rip it. So Lexus, if you're watching, hey, sign me up for that 550E. But otherwise, what I'm seeing here is we're trending in the right direction. We're not being too slow with range or charging. Everything is heading the right way. Just a few recommendations that I have taken under advisement. Comment below what you guys think, all right? This video is not really for Lexus. I don't even know if they're gonna watch it. But you guys, comment below what you'd like to see change about the RZ. I'm always listening, I'm always replying. Luke sometimes chimes in if you guys, you know, mention Luke in the comment section, if he does a good job or bad job. And he'll address those comments. So thank you for watching this video. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one.